coaches, if their safety squat bar improves, their straight bar definitely improves. If you're not jumping your athletes, especially resisted jumping your athletes, you're missing a lot of gains. Hi everyone, my name is Kalil Sherrod. I'm here at elitefts. I'm a sports performance coach now in Columbus, Ohio. I'm originally from New York, and I'll be teaching you guys some of the ways that I train my athletes for squatting, for deadlifting, jumping, and how I get results with that. Let's get to it. So we're gonna start by going over the belt squat. The reason why I started with this is that even over goblet squats, I prefer to start all my people, especially my athletes, on the belt squat. Reason being, we take away the walkout aspect of the squat, but we also, before the person's back gets strong enough, we won't have to worry about spinal loading, and most people's hips are also weak. So we're conquering and tackling all those things. So first thing we'll do, we'll start with the actual squatting. We wrap this belt around the waist. Then we'll clip in. What we're gonna do, we wanna make sure that the athlete has a box that they can squat to without plopping, just like a normal box squat, okay? So for this is the tiger belt squat. I'll pull this stick out, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start my hands by my side. As I go down, I'm gonna push my knees out, hands go forward, I'll sit on that box, and then I'm gonna explosively come up, okay? You can use bands on, you can use chains, you can use straight weight or a combo of both. Either doesn't matter. The big thing we wanna be focused on is training that athlete to stay up tall, knees out, coming up real fast. If they can't even stay upright without collapsing, that's why the tiger belt squat's so amazing. You can actually hold on to these handles, and then you can reinforce that staying upright portion, because a lot of people, their back will round when they squat, especially if you're talking young kids. Now, the big thing though you wanna focus on, don't have them grab this belt the handles too tight. You don't wanna be doing a bicep curl. You wanna tell them, if I let go of these handles, would I fall back or would I be to stay up tall? So this is really just a little reference point to make sure I'm staying up tall. Now, no matter where they are, whether they're super experienced or not, a lot of times in season, I will still have my advanced athletes do the belt squat because of taking off that spinal load. But one of my favorite things to do is do marching, right? When we do a lot of marching in the belt squat, we're gonna get some of that strength endurance aspect going. We're gonna get some more decompression, especially if they're beat up in season. And then we're gonna tackle different parts of the body in a unique way that, unlike others, would have that spinal loading. So I'm gonna unrack, and a basic one that we'll just do is just nice and wide, right? I'm alternating these arms as if I was running, very low steps, right? That's gonna work a lot of that glute med. If I wanna work more of the quad in the front of the hip, I'll go close and high. Another thing that you can do, another beautiful part of this tiger belt squat, so you can put bands on, hold them in an isometric position, okay? We can hold a heavy med ball against the chest. If the person has weak feet, weak calves, you can walk just on the balls of your feet, right? Sometimes I'll have basketball players, they'll turn around, they'll be dribbling on the outside while they're attached to the machine. You'll see plenty of places where they'll have jiu-jitsu fighters or fighters in general turn around and they'll be grappling and pummeling while they're in it. So we're getting traction, so we're getting recovery. We're getting a little bit of glute, hips work while we're getting more in shape, and we can, mimic, get a little bit of SPP, sport-specific work. So if you're a team or you're an organization, or you're a private gym, I really recommend getting a belt squat. You don't have to get the tiger one. Obviously it's better, but please get a belt squat. Once a kid knows how to do that well, I'll progress them to the safety squat bar. Now, the reason I'll pick the safety squat bar over the straight bar is because a lot of times most kids, especially as they get bigger and stronger, or they're just in season, their shoulders, their elbows and wrists are already taking a beating. So we don't wanna further damage those areas. So I always go with the safety squat bar. And a big bonus of it, most kids or most athletes need more upper back strength and work, thoracic to the upper back. So you're gonna get that with the bar. So let's go ahead and get some box squats in again. So big thing, make sure, just like any squat, you found your good height where you're not gonna be tiptoeing out. Now this is a monolift. So, usually you'd have to walk it out unlike that belt squat. But when we're using this bar, big things that I usually see people do wrong is that they push up the handles when they're squatting. So once I get into that position, my good friend Donnie Thompson, he always liked to preach that after you unrack, then you're gonna have your hands in a fist the entire time. The reason that being is that it's real easy for the person to go like that, which makes this bar easier. We don't want it to make it easier. We want it to be harder. Now, if you got a really goofy kid, maybe I say, tell them, hold the bar, but just try not to hold too hard, okay? Because we just don't want to see their upper body trying to help them out. But while we're using this, we're going to get a ton of upper back work while we're box squatting, but we're going to be saving those shoulders. And coaches, if their safety squat bar improves, their straight bar definitely improves. But the whole entire time, like I said, you'll be saving their shoulders. So if you don't have one of these, make sure you grab them because they're gonna keep your athletes healthier and you're gonna get them stronger. So we went over how to make your athletes strong and how to make them more in shape and all that. But now I wanna go over how do we make the athlete more explosive? But number two, how do we test to make sure our training is going well to make sure that this is actually going to correlate to better performance on the field or court? So this is a jump mat. So in training, and in testing, I will use this primarily because we can use dumbbells. Now, dumbbell jumping, the reason why I like that over all other resisted jumping is because it keeps the person centered. A lot of times if we use ankle weights, the legs will go forward or back. If we use a weight vest, maybe it comes undone, but the dumbbells keep you centered and you can move it much easier. It's easier to set up. So sometimes I'll see people use trap bar jumps. That's a whole process. Obviously, I wouldn't also want to do it on the mat. So like I said, I prefer the dumbbell jump. So what I'll usually have people do is do a 1-and-1 or a 2-and-2 style. And then depending on the kid, sometimes only dumbbell jump. So the 1-and-1 would be one with dumbbells, one without. It would be or 2-and-2 or just only dumbbell jumping, especially if a kid likes to focus on the without. The biggest thing you want to do is be pushing the weighted dumbbell jumps because what we're doing essentially is that contrast training. We're tricking the body and the nervous system to go faster. So a lot of times most kids, they go down really slow, but with the weighted jumps, it trains you to attack the ground and faster down is going to be faster up. So I'll demo one real quick. Hopefully the mic stays on. So what I'm gonna think of doing is I'm gonna think of punching the ground on the way down and upright rowing on the way up. So sometimes I like to do a few practice jumps, right? And I'll down fast and I'll jump up, right? So then let's say I was doing that 1-and-1 style with a kid, then after they wait, 30 seconds to a minute, and then we'll just do our normal jump, starting those toes, right? And come up and come down, right? And then what a lot of times, depending on the kid, I'll give them usually 3 to 4 rounds of doing these back and forth. On their last round, let's say I wrote 4 sets of 1-and-1. If they tie or get a new PR, I always say the rule is you have 2 more chances to beat it. So let's say they, on their 6th one, they beat it again. They're gonna wait and try 2 more and 2 more. I've had kids where sometimes they were jumping for 30 minutes, they just kept beating their PR. This is the most important thing for them, especially if you're limited on turf space and you can't test 40s or maybe even 10 yards. You can have this jump mat in the corner of your gym and number one, your kid's getting better when you test, but even more so in training, you can train that very high velocity end of the spectrum with a little less beating up of the body like sprinting is, and obviously without the need for space. So if you don't have a jump mat or some type of jumping device, I strongly recommend you do it because if the kid jumps higher, they're gonna run faster. And it's vice versa, but the sprinting, obviously, you're not gonna, if you don't have enough space, you just can't do it, right? And I prefer the jumping because it's just less taxing on the body. So if you're not jumping your athletes, especially resisted jumping your athletes, you're missing a lot of gains.